The Braves just took 3 out of 4 in Los Angeles. Is this the NLCS preview? It's BravesKast. So we weren't supposed to be back on until next week, but this Dodgers series was so exciting we figured we'd talk about it for about 40 minutes. How are you doing, Cole?
I'm feeling pretty good. When we first talked about this series, we mentioned how one way or the other our eyes are going to be opened. We're going to really know what this team is, and yeah, we were right. I think we are at a point where I'm just going to say it, World Series or bust.
Yeah, I was
That's how I'm
telling my
feeling.
dad yesterday that I told myself in 2021 I'd give it a few years, or like a half a decade. I'd be satisfied if the Braves don't win a World Series. Uh, but with this team, I will be disappointed just because they are so good in so many different ways. Um, we're recording after a loss. I didn't get to see the loss, but you don't go to LA and sweep them in 4 games. Like, especially since 2013, that's not something you do. And the fact that the Braves had a chance to do that is ridiculous.
Yeah. Wait, I thought we were talking about the Rocky series.
Oh shoot, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Um,
Dodgers season. Oh, crap. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I remember some of it.
sorry.
Yeah.
I know we had really hyped up that Rocky series. I was really excited about it. That um, Cole and I were only talking about the Rocky series, so we haven't actually talked since the LA team played. Um,
The Angels,
I
right? That's who
thought
we played.
I thought we were doing a Dodgers episode when I said, "Hey Cole, that was a crazy series. 3 games away out west. We should talk about that." Uh, my bad. Yeah, the
Okay, we can.
Dodgers.
Yeah, we
I
got
hope
this.
you're
We got
prepared.
this.
I'm so
Um,
sorry.
I'll be able to improvise. Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Do you want to? So with this Dodger series, we're gonna go over all 4 games, give our analysis, pretty much what we've been seeing. Mitchell, do you want to take? Do you want to do the honors and do game number one?
I'll do game number one. So I had work on a Friday. I should not have stayed up to watch this game. I could not stay up and watch this game. There was no way I was gonna go to bed at 11, considering that this game was happening. So the Braves had initially had Strider lined up to start the last game in Colorado. We'll talk about that next week. Darius Vines got that start instead, which allowed the Braves to start Strider against Lance Lynn. On the surface, this was a huge mismatch. Even though Lance Lynn has been better in terms of ERA since he got traded to the Dodgers, his home run rate was still really high. His ERA was lower than you would expect someone who was allowing like 2.5 homers a game. A big mismatch. And so naturally, against one of the best offenses in the first inning in baseball history, they go down in order. Nothing happens in the top of the first. Bottom of the first, Spencer Strider looks really rough against Mookie Betts. He throws him 3 straight balls that are really not close, and then he ends up walking him in 5 pitches. Freeman gets on, and it's looking pretty bad. He's able to get out of that inning, only allowing 1 run, and that was thanks in part to a Nicky Lopez almost double play. I really still don't know how he got to the ball. That is something I've been thinking about.
It fooled the cameraman.
Yeah,
There was a brief second that they were panning towards right field, and then they had to quickly pivot because they realized that Nicky Lopez actually
had
got to that
fielded it.
ball. Yeah.
So then the top of the second, the Braves have the bases loaded. Nicky Lopez comes up. The one thing you want to do to the Braves number 9 hitter, if it's not Michael Harris, and it wasn't, Ozzy Albies had the day off on Thursday, is walk Nicky Lopez, who has 80 WRC plus. Nicky Lopez drew a walk. It didn't look like it for a second because the umpire's strike zone decided to get very big for that at bat. And up comes up Ronald Acuña Jr., who had just gotten married the day before. He flew from Colorado with his team to LA. They got in at 1:30 in the morning. He had a wedding that he had planned like a day in advance, and he drove out at 9:30 in the morning, got married, came back. And so he's a freshly married man, And what else does he do but hit a grand slam that had probably the best reaction shot of a first baseman that you could ever have. Just an incredible shot. I'll put it in the edit where we can enjoy it. I was feeling pretty good at that point. I don't know about you, Cole.
Yeah.
5-1.
This home run gave Ronald the distinction of being the first player ever to hit 30 homers and steal 60 bases in a season. I've never seen it happen. I mean, you know, at the beginning of this year, we talked about him being Ricky Henderson. Did we say Ricky Henderson light? I really hope we didn't. I really hope we didn't, because, yeah, he's not going to steal 100 bases, but Ricky Henderson would never hit 35 plus homers, which Ronald is on pace to blow by the end of the year. So
I think you're the one who made the Ricky Henderson comparison. I wasn't initially on board at first, and then you really sold me on it. So maybe you called him Ricky Henderson light, maybe you didn't.
I really hope I didn't.
The fact
I really
is,
hope I didn't.
You got that scoop way before some other people did.
No, everybody's calling him.
And now everybody is.
I
What do you
call him
think?
Little Ricky. I'll call him Big Ricky.
I'm going to pause in the middle of game one when we're comfortable at a 5-1 lead and talk about that 30-60 season. I see a lot of non-Braves fans saying that people shouldn't be celebrating Ronald as the first 30-60 guy because of the new rules. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the thing with baseball history is that we are in a new era, and we can't deny that fact. You know, when I write about baseball, typically I choose the integration. Post-integration is, and really I should go a bit later, because I mean Jackie Robinson was the first person to break the color barrier, and then he was the only black person in the league for the next like 5 or so years.
The Red Sox didn't have a guy until the 60s.
Yeah, so but just this is a new era we are in, and we are going to. We don't really have a name for it yet. The pitch clock era. It's probably what we're going to call it.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done. So I understand where they're getting at. It kind of reminds me, and there's a guy that I know who's working on a video for the best, greatest offensive duos of all time, and he talks a little bit about Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, where that they were the transition from the dead ball era to the offensive explosion we saw in the mid-20s to really from then on. And you wouldn't say, Babe Ruth's 60 homers don't count because the ball's not dead anymore, it has a little more life to it, or now everybody's trying to hit home runs, and that's kind of where I'm at with it, where he's sort of, I mean, the thing is too, you look at, he's leading the league in stolen bases. I know Estrella Ruiz is close in the AL and he got hurt a little bit. So, but it's not even close in the National League. Who's number 2?
Corbin Carroll has 40-something steals.
So what are we talking about here? He's absolutely lapping the rest of the league in terms of stolen bases. So I understand where people are getting at, where, the rules are different. The bases are slightly bigger, the pickoff rule. Really, honestly, I haven't really seen the pickoff rule affecting much of the gameplay yet. I think it is something that's going to be exploited as teams start to figure it out. The bigger bases, yeah, I get it. It is a lot easier to steal now. I see everybody and their freaking mother stealing. But the fact that Ronald is basically lapping the league in stolen bases, that tells you everything you need to know. So that's where I'm at. I understand it. I understand where they're coming from, and I do think we just have to accept that this is a new era and that we are going to measure value a bit differently, as we go along, and we'll see. Hey, you know what? If in the next 10 years we see 5 other 30-60 seasons, then we'll be like, okay, maybe it wasn't as special as we thought. But right now we just don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, my thoughts are kind of similar. It's not as if there are plenty of base stealers out there, and Ronald is like second or third in the league. There are plenty of speed first guys still in the league. There are guys who have high on base percentages who don't hit as many home runs, who reach base often. Corbin Carroll is that guy. He reaches base relatively often. He does have pop, but he doesn't hit homers like Acuna does.
Yeah.
He's a very fast guy. He's scary fast, and he
Yep.
but he only has 40 some steals. John Birdie on the Marlins reaches base at a decent clip, even though he has no power. He led the league last year in stolen bases. I think he's in the 20s in stolen
Yep.
bases, and that's a guy who has no power whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, if if there were other players in the league who had 80, 90, 100 steals, yeah, I would say the new bases, the pickoff rule, it really changes things. We shouldn't be celebrating a 30-60 season, but I mean, does anybody even have a 30-30 season? Is it just Ronald?
Well, Lindor has 25-25. Carroll, you mentioned his power. I think he has 30 homer potential. He's just had a shoulder injury that's virtually zapped all his power.
Yeah.
But
no one else has a 30-30 going on right now, so
yeah. No, I totally agree. I think if like you said, if he was third or fourth in the league with his 60 steals, then we're like, okay, we're in a totally new generation. We're back in the 80s just with a few more power hitters.
Yeah,
but
he's also stealing at an 85% clip, which is
Yeah.
6 or 7% above league average. So I'm like, we're good.
Yeah, and I mean the Billy Hamilton rule too. To steal, you got to get on base, and he's done that a lot as well. So
Highest on base percentage in the league.
Yeah, there's a cavalcade of skill sets that you need to be able to accomplish a 30-60 season, and yeah, I mean, I don't think you can say that it's not that special until it's been 10 years. And then we'll see. Like I said, if there's 5 other 30-60 seasons not set by Ronald Acuña Jr., then we're like, okay, it is a new era. It wasn't really that special. I mean, maybe you could say, it was the lightning bolt, the catalyst, but I don't think you should diminish it.
I would wager, I mean, I'm not a bettor, but I would wager some money that at most there would be 2 other 30-60 seasons in the next decade. At most, including Ronald. Anyway, we're going to get back to the game because that's the whole reason we're recording tonight.
Tangent aside.
But Austin Riley hits a home run in that same inning. It's 6-1 until the 5th inning. Strider cruised through the second through 4th inning. He looked like the best pitcher in baseball, which he is most of the time. That Mookie Betts homer, a 3-run homer in the 5th inning. He allowed 2 base runners. He got Mookie to 2 strikes with 2 outs. I don't get how Betts hit that out of the park, to be honest. It looked like a defensive swing.
Yeah, that's just Betts being Betts. Opposite field, line drive, barely snuck over the wall. I think we were joking that, let's see him hit in a modern park because he's now been. He's a great offensive player. End of the day, but he has done it in Fenway and Dodger Stadium. It's see what happens if we put him in a modern park with real dimensions, like Great American Ballpark.
Preferably played like built in 2017. A team that has a right fielder, and a second baseman, and a center fielder, and a shortstop
for a couple more years.
Could just maybe put him in left field. I don't know. He has a place. So that gets it to 6-4. The Braves get it to 7-4. And then things start to kind of unravel. Or I guess it gets to 8-4. But Joe Jimenez comes in and he allows 2 bombs. One of those to Betts. Another one that just snuck over the fence. That was in the 7th. In the 8th, Minter comes in and he allows a bomb to Max Muncy. And it is a 1-run game going into the 9th. I'm going to be honest. I was on my couch curled up like a fearful little child when we went to the 9th inning, and I didn't know if I could handle it. Iglesias gets a first in batter, Mookie Betts out. I thought
very
that
similar
ball was
looking.
Gone.
Yeah, especially after we saw his first homer of the game. very similar looking swing, very similar looking location. Just to get enough juice on it.
Just enough. And then Freeman gets on, Smith gets on, and Max Muncy just misses a game-winning 3-run homer. Another fly ball. He knew he missed it, but the fans did not. And that is a scary sound for an opposing team's fan.
Yeah.
And then Iglesias strikes out Hernandez to end the game, and the Braves win Game 1 in LA. It took me about an hour to fall asleep after that. I was hyped up on the win, but just like had to decompose.
One of the more exciting games we played this year, which is saying a lot because we've played a lot of those types of games. It was also nice too because it was the only game that was on. It was Thursday night. There was 3 games during the day, so a lot of our friends who are not Braves fans were tuning in, and it was a showcase in a way, kind of like what I talked about Sunday Night Baseball, where you look at another team, you're like, oh, so that's where they're at right now. These are the guys that they're relying on the bullpen. These are the guys that are the unsung heroes. We never lost the lead. We were always. I mean, we went down 1-0 after the bomb of the first, but after that Ronald Acuña grand slam, we had the lead the entire time. The Dodgers made it very close. They made it too close for comfort, I would say. What'd you think about Strider overall? At one point, he retired. I believe it was 13 straight.
I am annoyed with Strider putting too much pressure on himself. I think first inning against Mookie Betts, whatever. You allow a run. Could have been worse. You got out of it. The 3-run homer, he just was beating himself up over.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to yell at Spencer. It's okay. Like you allowed a 3-run homer to one of the best players in the National League.
The way I see it is he allowed 4 runs. 2 of them were scored by Mookie Betts, and the other 2 were driven in by Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
He didn't. He was executing. I think I say this actually every episode. I'm like, oh, this is Strider's best start. This is his. The superlative I'd give to this one is it was his most impressive start, because he did beat himself up, and they were showing some shots of him in the dugout. He was talking to Cranny, and I mean, he looked absolutely.
He looked
stunned.
like Luke Jackson after allowing 2 runners
NLCS.
on NLCS. Yeah.
I mean, completely disheveled. I mean, I think Brandon joked that it was more of a therapy session than a talk with your pitching coach. But you know what? He goes out for the bottom of the 6th inning, and he, after allowing a single to Will Smith, which just whatever, single to the catcher, who cares, strikes out Muncy and gets weak contact to retire the side. That was really impressive to me, because he could have gone up, continued to beat himself up, and get him in an even stickier situation, and he goes out and shuts down bottom of the 6th. And that's just gonna be one of those games. You look at his final line, and you see 6 innings,
it's
4
not
runs.
indicative. I think he looks at it and he sees 8 earned runs, horrible, let his team down. I see a really impressive first inning after allowing 2 runners on. He was dotting with 100 miles an hour. You cannot do that. You can't get hits on that if you have a pitcher. And then you had a hiccup in the 5th inning, and you got beat by one of the best hitters in baseball. I was overall impressed. I just wish he would be okay with he didn't let the team down. That's a great start.
The game afterwards maybe made it look a bit worse. We'll get into that, but overall, I thought I was personally angry too, because I was really hoping it would be a signature start of sorts.
Yeah.
Where were you when Spencer Strider went 7 1-earned run against the Dodgers?
12.
Yeah. But you know what? It's not always how it's going to be chalked up, and baseball will do that to you. You could have your best stuff and still get beat by one of the best offenses in the league. And really, he just mostly got beat by one guy. Yeah. So I thought he looked super impressive. Ronald Acuña Jr., The MVP he made this MVP. So I know that Mookie Betts is going to lead the league in B WAR and F WAR, and we really don't know what every voter is looking at there, but I do think they do care about context. They do look at situational hitting, because MVP it's not a forecast type of award. It's a what did you do? What did you do when it mattered the most? I think this series, this game, especially overall by Ronald, was a hey, don't forget about me. I'm still
Oh yeah,
here.
he had 3 hits and a walk in this game, aside from the grand slam.
Yeah. I mean, this offense lives and dies. It doesn't. Well, that's the thing. It doesn't even live and die by Ronald. I mean, he could go for 4. Obviously, the last game
today.
it's not true, but he still could go for 4, and the rest of the offense can pick him up. But I mean, he is that
He does
spark
set
plug.
the trend for a lot of the games. If you look at Braves' first inning runs, I would say 85% of the time Ronald has one of those runs
Yeah.
in the first inning.
Yeah. Anything else from this game?
No, just it was a stressful game. It was a weird feeling win because I was so amped up and yet so out of whack. Game 2.
Game 2. I actually didn't really watch most of Game 2. I was in Greenville playing a show. So if you want to cover Game 2 as well, I can cover the last 2.
I think this might have been Fried's best start of, at least since he came back from the IL. It would be up there with the Chicago start. He struck out batters. He struck out 10 batters. He normally doesn't do that. I think I personally believe Fried does not strike out batters out of choice.
Fried's start was what I think both you and me wish that Strider's start was, and it could have been if Mookie Betts got stuck in traffic on Thursday.
Yeah, I need Mookie Betts to just have really good games when he doesn't play the Braves. I love Mookie Betts.
He's great.
I really
you can't not
hate that
on
he
Mookie
got
Betts.
traded to the Dodgers 3
Me
years
too.
ago and not
Me
some
too.
American League team.
Yeah.
Fried didn't allow a runner to reach scoring position until the 7th inning. Overall, just outstanding. I don't think I would ask anything more of Fried. He didn't allow a run. He struck out 10 in 7 innings. Exactly what the Braves needed because they had basically used up their bullpen over the past couple of days. Julio Urias was not good. He should have allowed way more runs than he did. So the Braves' first 3 runs were on solo shots by d'Arnaud, Acuña again, and Ozuna. And then they had a bunch of base hits in the 5th inning to knock Urias out. He was just not in it. I don't know if you saw any clips. There was this one point where Acuña is on second, and they get him, basically. It should be an easy pickoff. Acuña's already stealing third. Urias steps off, and he throws it to second. He lobs it to second, allowing for an easy steal for Acuña. I don't know. I don't watch his starts. I don't watch Dodger games, but that was man, this guy's way out of it.
Yeah, I mean, and we want to sprinkle in some possible NLCS preview. Statistically speaking, we're talking about the odds. This was the NLCS preview.
Yes.
That's a big piece for them. And Julio Urias has not been right all year. And I know Kershaw, if he still exists, he's one of the best pitchers on the planet still, somehow. But Urias is, he's their number one, or arguably number 1, number 2 guy. And if he's putting up clunkers like this, that's basically, you could argue 2 games in the NLCS that we can take easily. I didn't really get a good look at his stuff. I know that he's been struggling with his curveball, which used to be one of his bread and butter pitches. He's normally a really good pitcher. I know he's been struggling with injuries this year, so I think it's just mostly the physical aspect of it. Travis d'Arnaud, I was able to see that home run. He's been kind of hitting better than Sean Murphy since
Yeah.
August, which I'm not saying, we should start Travis d'Arnaud or Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy's our guy. Travis d'Arnaud is our backup catcher. Like, don't get me wrong here. But he's it's hard. It's a good problem to have, but it is, you do wish you can put 10 guys in the lineup sometimes. You do wish you can get more at bats. I seriously, I think Sean Murphy is going to have to like go 0 for his next 29, and Travis d'Arnaud is going to have to hit like 5 homers in his next 10 starts for that to even be a question
to just see
of
them
who's
go
starting.
split down the middle, down the stretch, because the Braves' magic number is 12. It's September 3. They
gosh.
will clinch probably in a week and a half.
Yeah.
So I just need to keep both catchers healthy. There's no need to play Murphy 67% of the time.
I'm surprised we didn't call up
Trump.
Trump as a September call up.
Me too. I'm surprised. I don't mind Wall. I think Wall will be on the postseason roster. I just don't understand having him and Williams. But anyway, it's time to talk about the most unlikely homer of all time. Because in the 8th inning, Pierce Johnson comes in. He looks decent. 2 base runners get on. Dave Roberts punts the game because it's 6-0. Yeah. He pinch hits for Betts. I forget who he pinch hits with, but that batter, David Peralta. He gets out. And then he pinch hits for Freddie Freeman with Colton Wong, who was so bad the Mariners released him and immediately got a lot better. Now the Mariners are in first place. Colton Wong was hitting like 150, had a slugging of like 280, and hits a 3-run bomb to cut the lead to 3. And at that point, I think I was starting to panic a little bit because, the Dodgers have a great offense. At the same time, though, it was like Dave Roberts is about to punt a game that is well within reach. Did you watch that part?
Yeah, no, I watched this game. We were in the car by this point. Yeah, and this is why I do have a bias, obviously, but the Dodgers brand of baseball, I'm just not a fan of, and this is part of it. I understand the writing was on the wall. Your offense was just shut down. You're down 6 runs. Might as well give the guys some rest and see you tomorrow. Maybe he thought Colton Wong. I don't know Colton Wong's stats against curveballs. Maybe he hit that shot off of it was a first pitch curveball.
It was bad.
Crazy. I think it was just he was punting the game and he wouldn't pinch hit both Betts and Freeman if he didn't think that they were already losing. I
mean, you'd never pinch hit. I can't think of a scenario where you would pinch hit Freeman, like any scenario ever, with any batter except like Barry Bonds. If you can get 2001 Barry Bonds.
What's even worse too, I mean, it really shook up Johnson because then he walks Smith and gives up a single to Rosario before Tonkin, which was a very special moment for Tonkin because he actually grew up a Dodgers fan. It was his first time ever pitching in Dodger Stadium and gets out Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor, man, I know he's not having a great year. He hasn't really been amazing. He strikes so much fear into me. I feel like he's just always that guy who's coming up in the big spot.
He's that scrappy guy who hits bombs. You're like, how?
He was one of the first, not one of the first, but he was one of the first popular Swing Revolution guys. He worked with Robert Van Scoyoc, who I think is still the hitting coach for the Dodgers. But he's always that guy that he's so. I don't want to use the word pesky because that's not like. I mean, he has the stirrups and he's just kind of always the guy who finds a way to go on base. Like, he will get hit by a pitch if he has to. He will swing at a ball like an inch off the ground if he knows what's coming. But that was a big moment for me, that the Tonkin strikeout, because if Chris Taylor gets on, then you're looking at Michael Bish, who's not good, but I mean, he had a home run the previous day, and you're getting into a mess of trouble. So, yeah, the Colton Wong home run though was that's just baseball right there. That's just some great old randomness. I bet you Colton Wong after this series is going to go like 2 for his next 19, and the Dodgers are going to cut bait just like the Mariners did.
Anyway, the Braves won that game.
They did.
Thanks, Dave Roberts, for that game. And I think it's time to talk about...
It just makes me so freaking mad because, like, dog, this is the series of the year. Like, this is it. And you're going to be like, oh, just need to rest some guys. Like, oh, we really just don't
15 minutes off the field.
Yeah, like, it's so annoying. It feels disrespectful. I like, and the Giants do the same thing. I remember I went to a Giants game back in 2021 when they won 106 games, and the Braves go up like 4-0 in the bottom of the second, and Gabe Kapler just throws out some September call-up to pitch the rest of the game, and he ends up allowing like 10 runs. It's like, oh, we're too cool for this. Like, you're just, they had plans later tonight. We kind of knew we were out of this game. Like, I hate it.
The time machine, and in the initial timeline, Betts like breaks his ankle, and then Freeman strained his oblique, and they go back in time and pinch hit Colton Wong to fix that.
So stupid. I mean, look, hey, you know what? Intent versus outcome. Colton Wong gets the 3-run home run, and then they don't bat again. Which means they lost. The rest of the offense didn't do anything. So. It was technically the right move, but I hate it. I hate it so much. Putting Gus Varland, just letting Gus Varland take the rest of the game, be like, okay, we're done. Like, dude, 2020 was 3 years ago. We ain't playing 7-inning games anymore. I don't know, man. I really, it felt disrespectful. It felt very disrespectful.
I think there is as likely a chance that Cole ever becomes a Dodgers fan as Ken Griffey Jr. becomes a Yankees fan.
I hate the Dodgers. I'm just going to say it straight up. I hate the Dodgers. There's not many teams I hate. I don't hate the Mets. I don't even hate the Phillies. I don't even hate the Nationals. Honestly, I don't hate any team in our division. I hate the Dodgers. I hate their brand of baseball. I hate that they have Mookie Betts. I hate that they have Freddie Freeman. I hate that, like, they turned Lance Lynn into frickin' Bob Gibson. Obviously we tore him up, but that's just because we're a good team. I'm just nah.
So we gotta talk about that Ronald Acuña Jr. home run in Game 3 then.
Yeah. We're actually, I don't know how we did this. We're actually coming up on time, so we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll talk about the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back on BravesKast. So see y'all next time, or
Bye.
Well, in a couple minutes.
Ronald hammers this to left center. That ball is history. And Ronald Acuña Jr. just made history. And oh, by the way, it's only August 31st. What a milestone for Acuña.
And we are back. We really thought we were going to do this in less than 40 minutes. We just have so much to ramble on about. So game number 3. Was first, I would say, just not. Bryce Elder did his thing. Bryce Elder now has a 1.5 ERA against the Dodgers in 2 career starts. A guy who last year we were too afraid to pitch against the Phillies. I think it's just going to be one of those odd quirks where no matter where Bryce Elder goes, no matter where his career takes them, he's just going to be dominant against the Dodgers. Just something about his pitch mix really throws Dodgers hitters for fits. It's like Space Jam when they suck out all their powers. That's going to be Dodgers hitters whenever they face Bryce Elder, no matter where he is. He could be a long reliever for the Brewers in 2027. He will absolutely mow down the Dodgers, even when they have Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani in their lineup. So just to recap, I'll do the recap for this game now. All right, cool. So yeah, Bryce Elder, he had a very messy start. I wouldn't say it was necessarily dominant. He allowed 5 hits, 4 walks. I would say the most decisive inning was the bottom of the 4th. He allows a single to David Peralta, another single to Miggy Rojas, and then walks Austin Barnes, which, it was his bobblehead night, so he was probably just letting him pad his stats a bit.
I will say that if you walk
earlier.
Austin Barnes to load the bases, to let Mookie, with Mookie Betts coming up, you kind of deserve
to strike out Mookie Betts. Yeah, totally. So Mookie Betts, that was a very decisive at bat, decisive and divisive actually. The ump helped him out. That last strike was a bit outside. It was a bit off the plate. But
I showed the replay to my dad, and he was like, "Oh no, maybe," and I was like, "You can't even argue that's in the shadow. Like, we got a gift call there."
Yeah, the umping this series was not great, but I also think we're saying that because these are so highly intense games where we are living and dying by every pitch. So I think it's just the normal, typical ump performance for 4 games, but just because of how much all these pitches meant for both teams, it became really apparent how not great just officiating is, even though it's actually better than it's ever been. If you look at clips of 90s baseball, there's some really
Eric Gregg is the best umpire ever.
Yeah,
according to Braves fans.
Yeah. But you know what? He opens him up with that beautiful sinker on the inside. I thought Bryce Elder looked fine. Again, he went 6 innings, gave up an earned run. That's pretty much the only thing of note in this game, unfortunately. I mean, the Braves scored some runs. Nothing that notable, though, about the runs that they scored. Oh, wait a minute.
121.2?
Wait a minute. This is the Ronald Acuña. You know what? He just hit so many home runs this series. They all blended together. Yeah, so Ronald Acuña Jr. in the top of the 3rd. Emmett Sheehan goes down 3-0. So I was watching this game, and he goes down a 3-0 count, and I was thinking, I wonder if Ronald Acuña Jr. is going to swing here. By the time that thought completed, the ball was in the Chavez Ravine. The ball was already out of the park. That was, I don't want to talk in too much hyperbole here, but that was maybe one of the most grand homers I've seen in my life.
So I was watching without the sound on. I saw I was playing.
Well, you probably heard it from your apartment.
I should have.
Yeah. I heard it.
Watching without sound because I was playing cards at my parents' house, and I was like, "Oh, cool! A Ronald Acuña Jr. home run. That looked like it was crushed." And I'm a writer for a contributor for the house that Hank built, and we're all on a group chat. And I just see 121. Did I see that right? And I'm thinking, no way. You don't hit homer. For instance, for example, Matt Olson hit a homer this year that was 118 off the bat. That's ridiculous. Only 2 other players in MLB history since the StatCast era, so 2015, have hit a home run at 120 miles an hour or more. 121.2. That cleared his hardest hit ball ever by 5 miles an hour. It was at a 19-degree launch angle. I was thinking after he hit that, could you imagine if that was at a 27-degree launch angle? That ball would have gone like 550 feet.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw the 121.2, I could no longer play cards. The only thing that's been on my mind for the past
watching that home run
25 hours has been 121.2.
There's there's your A swing. Every hitter, they have their A swing, their B swing, their C swing if they're getting really defensive. That was his A plus swing. That was his like AP I don't know, stat. Like that was the
I think
I don't even know how to describe that swing.
that is the best swing he'll ever take in his life.
Yeah.
And I think he knows that.
Yeah. We often describe Ronald Acuña Jr. swing as a cannon. It is violent, but it is steady. It is center, but there's a. It's not like that there is a lot going on, but it just kind of just you pull it and a huge force just expulses, and then a dense object goes really far afterwards and explodes most likely. That pretty much epitomized his swing, everything that he was about. Yeah, I mean seriously, I don't know if you've ever seen The Boys, but
Have I seen it? Ugh.
spoilers for The Boys, but it's the first episode. There's a scene where it's pretty much the inciting incident of the entire show, where he's with his girlfriend and he's like telling her how much he loves her, and by the time he finishes telling her, she gets eviscerated by A-Train, who's
She
just
no
like
longer exists.
the
Uh,
Flash of the show. That's how it was. It's just before you even kind of could like comprehend what you just saw, it happened. That was a very, very pretty swing and a very destructive, beautiful.
how many times have you watched it? I think I've watched it about 15 times since then. Just
Voluntarily, involuntarily, like 10 times. I mean, they were showing a bunch on the broadcast.
oh yeah, 100%.
Voluntarily, 50 times. I
don't think I can get enough. If the Braves don't win the World Series, this is what I'll look back on
So
for years.
something that's really cool too, that he's something of a paradox, because I don't know if you've realized, Ronald Acuña Jr. does not strike out a lot. Normally, hitters who just from in the StatCast era, who are able to hit the ball that hard, do so at the expense of striking out, because to be able to put that kind of a swing on a ball, you're not able to make adjustments mid-swing. You just dial in, and that's what you do. How does he do it? How are you able to put that kind of a swing on a baseball, and your strikeout rate begins with a single digit? It might be in the 10s or 11s, but it's like, how is it that low? How are you this good at baseball?
I thought you were going to mention that guys who hit the ball that hard are usually like 6'5", 270, and Ronald Acuña Jr. is like 6 foot. Is he even 200 pounds?
I think Baseball Reference
up.
lists him at 200. Yeah, right on the dot.
He's 6 feet tall. Usually height is giving, like height measurements, they give you an extra couple like centimeters. He might not even be 6 feet. If I ever meet Ronald Acuña Jr. in person, I will not be like straining my neck like I would be if I met Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Who also hits balls 120 miles an hour.
Yeah. And he also, by the way, has stolen 62 bases, 63 bases this year.
But you know the new rules the new rules are, it's not that special.
Yeah. Anybody can steal 60. That's why.
I actually have 73 stolen bases in the major leagues this year.
Yeah. Your forced wall, of course. Yeah, we knew it this entire time. I was going to say, not only was that ball, end of the day, no matter how hard you hit it, just counts for one run. But it was a pretty important run, because that was the only run we scored. The Dodgers tie it in the bottom of the third off a double play, mind you. Was that a Orlando Arcia? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Orlando. I know he made an error in Colorado, but his defense this series, minus think one other blunder, has been excellent. Really, this the entire infield's defense. Austin Riley, I don't know if you saw, it was game 3. It was a very similar play that he made in the NLCS in 2021 where ball was cutting, and he knew that, hey, if I touch this ball, I don't have a play either way. Took it to the chance. It goes foul. Just a game-saving decision, just to let that ball go. Infield defense has been amazing. Tie ball game, and then next thing we know, we go into extra innings, which I feel like we haven't played an extra innings game in a while. I feel like when we win, it's just by like 5 or 6 runs. Like, we haven't really played a close game in a while. And I'm actually surprised we've been good in extra inning games. That's something the Braves have struggled with
We are definitely, thank God, no Padres.
Oh God, yeah.
0-11 in extra inning games. Oh my God.
They're just, hey, they swept the Giants though, so don't count them out. They're gonna go on a run just to disappoint us again. Orlando Arcia. So Nicky Lopez comes in for Matt Olson as the extra runner, not calling it the ghost runner. And then Sean Murphy draws a walk. And then pretty much, it was pretty much the only pitch I saw Vesia really lay down the middle. It was the only mistake he made. And Arcia capitalized, hit a dagger to left field. Something about the Braves hitting home runs at Dodger Stadium. They all looked so just perfect. There was no cheap shots. Everything was barreled up, perfect. Arcia knew it right off the bat.
I love when Orlando Arcia hits home runs. There's just something about the reward of just swinging out of your shoes that I love.
He's not built like a home run hitter at all.
No, absolutely not.
Like, he puts his entire body into it. Like, he has to literally put his entire body. Acuña, like, he can like, maybe his legs are a little off center, or his arms aren't fully into but he can still get a hold of one. Arcia, literally, it almost looks like he's about to fall over, and he's not, though, because he's got like the greatest balance on earth. But just moonshot, puts us up 4-1, and then Iglesias. He allows a single to Will Smith, but I wasn't really that worried about it, especially after the Muncy fly ball. Iglesias has really kind of been.
He just won reliever of the month.
Reliever of the month, yeah. He's been the best reliever, I would say, really, since. I want to say that we were positive on Iglesias, saying, hey, he had the injury. He still needs to build himself back up. But he's kind of been at the levels he was last year when we picked him up at the trade deadline, which those felt like fantasy numbers. I mean, that literally felt just like a major blip, and he's been able to recreate it. Just insane to think about. Would you think? I mean, any other thoughts on this game? We can talk about the Acuña home run a little bit more if you want.
I went into this series thinking the Braves should get 2 out of 2, but the pitching matchups looked really good in favor of the Braves. That I would be excited. I could see it.
You were definitely more positive on this series than I was. I was like split. Best case, we get a split.
I did not think that the Braves would go into today having an opportunity to sweep.
Yeah,
like
same.
I thought.
Yeah.
The Dodgers would win first or second game. If after the Braves secured the split, I thought Elder is a wild card against the Dodgers. But then at the same time, the Dodgers had a rookie with a 6 ERA going. So naturally, it was 1-1 at the end of 9 innings. I think the lack of offense for both teams surprised me in Game 3 because of the pitching matchups. But just the win was exciting. I didn't really care what happened today. I would have loved a sweep. But yeah, I was overjoyed.
Sweep was greedy, but again, we come into Sunday's game. We took the first 3 games. I mean, we already secured the series. First time we've won a series at Dodger Stadium since 2012. We have Morton pitching, who has been arguably one of our best pitchers in the second half. Morton, do we want anything else from Saturday's game?
No.
Morton didn't have it. He didn't. The thing is, though, him not having it. I mean, I know he wasn't able to finish the fifth, but only 2 runs allowed. One of them was he was going to allow it anyway, but not gritty. You know, the classic Morton gritty start. He was yanking his fastball a little bit more than you would like. His slider just was not there. His curveball looked good, but besides that, just kind of classic Morton, just location issues. Wasn't really able to command counts. I'm not too worried about it. And the thing that was really special about the series is that every game there was something to get excited about, even this one. And for this game, Matt Olson, we can't deny the fact that first 3 games of the series, he struggled mightily. He got, 1 hit?
Yeah. He went 2 for 17 this series.
2 for 17. So 0 hits, actually, because he got 2 hits today. It comes up against Bobby Miller, who is just mowed down this lineup. I mean, he looked really good. Pretty much everything that Morton wasn't this start, Bobby Miller was able to get ahead in counts, was able to, just induce swing contact when he needed to. Pretty much anything he wanted to do, he could have done it this day. I very much would not looking forward to facing him in the postseason. He looked really, really good. But Matt Olson was able to touch him up. Unfortunately, we didn't have anybody on and didn't really amount to much. But I am glad that Matt Olson ended his home run drought. It was at 15 or 16 games coming to it.
Shockingly long.
It was really, yeah.
He wasn't terrible. It wasn't like his slump last year where he looked worse than a pitcher. He was still getting hits.
Yeah.
Not as frequently, but
the Dodgers series was where the rails started to fall out, though. Just the 0 for the first 3 games. So it is nice he gets to go on that plane ride home knowing that, hey, you know what? I'm still Matt Olson at the end of the day. And he's the type of player, it's so, he wears it. I mean, he is, I would consider him a more stoic player for the most part. But when he's struggling, he'll let you know, like, you can tell. And especially a series like this where you imagine just everybody around him is doing something, is contributing in some way, and he's just not able to even get on base. You know that's got to wear on a guy. And for him to be able to at least say, you know what, I was the only person who showed up today, that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. Go back on the plane, go home. Hey, I'm still Matt Olson at the end of the day. It was kind of
I don't think he would say I was the only one who showed up today.
Yeah, he wouldn't say that. He wouldn't say that. He wouldn't say that. Yeah, he's a team player. But just knowing that he it's a mental thing. It's a mental thing. And I feel a lot, and now he gets to face Cardinals pitching, which is pretty much just, I think when baseball players, pass on, kind of Field of Dreams-esque, I think that their version of heaven is getting just to face the Cardinals pitching staff in 2023 at Coors Field.
If you had the Cardinals offense and any other pitching staff in baseball, you'd have a playoff team.
Yeah, you would. But
any other. I'm talking Oakland A's.
Yeah.
Kansas City Royals.
Yeah. I feel bad. I call the Kansas City Royals offense bad. They've been better. Bobby, I'm a Bobby Witt Jr. believer. He's been one of the best.
They are the worst team in Major League Baseball by wins and losses.
They are. But their offense has picked up lately. I'm a Bobby Witt Jr. believer, and he's actually been a very good player this year, and I'm very happy for them. They get their new George Brett, except just younger, I guess. I don't know. What was I talking about? I started thinking about the Royals, and I just get all like rosy inside.
Sad.
I I get Rosie. I think they're gonna win a World Series in like the next 20 years.
God, I hope not. I hate their. The way you feel about the Dodgers, I feel about the Royals. I hate the Royals.
Oh,
I hate the Royals. I hate their brand of baseball.
You hate speed and bullpen. You hate.
I hate their lack of anything. Pretty much, they got lucky in 2015 and 16.
I kind of just
a brand of baseball that shouldn't work, and then they're like triple down on it.
I kind of just hate every team in the AL Central. For the Twins are fine. The Twins are okay. They just Carlos.
The Twins
Correa,
are the only team that tries.
Yeah, I didn't realize how bad Carlos Correa was this year. Like I knew he was having a down year. I didn't know his OPS was still below 700 and that he just doesn't run anymore.
Yeah, his base running metrics are the
bad.
Worst in baseball.
Bad.
Also,
bad.
Cleveland has a pitching factory. Like you go to Cleveland and you're saved, right?
Yeah.
If you're a pitcher, they have J-Ram and then nothing.
They're like whatever pixie dust they throw in their pitching, it just takes away from their offense. It's like inverted for their offense.
Yeah.
Like you go to Cleveland,
but
you go to Cleveland and your bat dies. Like Josh Bell, I know Josh Bell is he's not a solid hitter when it comes to his peripherals. It's kind of like smoke and mirrors a lot of his success, but he completely just stunk on Cleveland. I'm glad that he's doing a bit better on the Marlins, but
they gave him a standing ovation at Nats Park the other night. I was like, what is going on?
He played half a season with them, but it was a good half a season.
They gave him a standing O.
It was a half.
I was like, what are they doing? It was a good
half a season.
Anyway, so the Braves lost Game 4, and Cole and I are so heartbroken about it.
Yeah. Bob Miller's
briefly.
What's up?
I mean, this was the NLCS preview. I think we got some of the pitching matchups that we might see in the NLCS, but it was an MVP face-off. For the National League. And as fun as Ronald was, for me, I don't think it decided it.
No, not at all.
There wasn't.
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I think before the series started, people were pretty much just saying, "Yeah, it's Mookie's. Mookie's going to win it." Still a month left. I think Ronald made some headway. I think if the season ended today, then Mookie's still getting it. But I think it's closer than a lot of people are making it out to be.
I do wonder if I am not able to see the MVP race from a voter's perspective because I'm so fixated on WAR. And you and I look at WAR, and it's a big gap.
It is
but
a big gap.
But if you look at the stat line and the teams and the accomplishments, it's not a big gap.
Yeah,
it's really close.
And I think, we can't get into the, Baseball Writers Association of America's collective head and say, this is what they're thinking of, this is what they look at. I will say the last 3-4 winners of the MVP award have led in WPA. Again, I think it's more of a sort of a coincidence. Yeah, but I do think voters do look at it, maybe.
I don't think they do. I don't think that voters are looking at WPA if they're not looking at other metrics.
They are looking at other metrics. I'm not saying, I'm saying they look at it in addition. They're looking at a lot of, I think I'm still of the camp that defensive metrics are incomplete. I think they're still a work in progress. I think a lot of metrics are still mostly, I think hitting metrics are pretty solid. I think we have a good foundation of that. But when it comes to defensive metrics, there's still a lot to be desired. I think we're pretty close. We're obviously a lot closer than we were before the StatCast era, but I do think that if you were just to kind of not that you're taking defensive metrics completely out of the equation, but if you take it from a lukewarm position, you understand them and you take into consideration, but you're not putting as much stock into it as the as WAR itself does, I think it's a lot closer. I think Mookie still barely edges out. But
I think there is something to be said about the fact that Betts can actually play an infield position well.
Yeah. And you think about the Dodgers position, you think about not having a shortstop and Betts being able to fill in there. You think about second base. That is a huge advantage. And that's something that, again, like I think voters do look at. But another thing too is, and again, we can't hop into their brains. We can't fully decipher what they are evaluating. But you look at the Dodgers lineup. I know JD Martinez is hurt right now. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman are, it's like the 80-20 rule. They are pretty much, they're, not 20%, they're less than 20%, but just breaking it down, simplifying it, they're 20% of the lineup, but they make up, I would say, for like 40-50% of the production. I mean, they are a production machine. We saw it this series. First game, Betts walks, Freeman singles, first and third, no out. Betts is going to score. That's just a run that they just created right there. And when you look at the Braves lineup, just because of how deep it is, Ronald, it's going to sound bad, it's going to sound terrible, but he matters less. There's not, because this lineup doesn't have a hole. It's like if Mookie goes 0 for 4, that's a lot worse for the Dodgers production than if Ronald goes 0 for 4.
Yeah, the thing I feel most comfortable about with the Braves lineup, why I would be disappointed if they at least don't make the World Series. Like if it's a first round exit like it has been most of my life. I would really struggle with that. But the reason why is because, Orlando Arcia won the game on Saturday night, and it's not like a fluke. He's a good hitter. He is a 110 W. He's 10% better than a league average hitter. He is at the point now where
Med Rosario, and I know, oh my gosh, we're running out of time again. Okay, I did not expect this episode to be long. Med Rosario, which I understand, he's facing a lefty, and the Dodgers are like, okay, he's basically, Mark McGwire against lefties. He was hitting 4th for the Dodgers on Friday, and his OPS is like, I know a lot of that was on the Guardians. It's like 80 points lower than Arcia's, who is our 8th hitter. Like, we have a
Michael Harris at 9th is such a cheat code.
It really is. It really is. It's funny when they're like, oh, it's just like having another leadoff hitter. The fact that he, like, what other 9th hitter will just flip to 2nd when the other guy, when our normal 2-hole hitter is sitting or injured? Never. That's never gonna. It just doesn't happen. Your 9-hole hitter is there because he's just not a good hitter. He's Martin Maldonado.
Your 9-hole is where you put Austin Barnes in.
Yeah,
because
it's where you put Martin Maldonado. It's where you put Colton Wong. It's where you put freaking. I was trying to name some hitter on the Phillies who would be their 9-hole hitter. Edmundo Sosa. Like. Michael Harris he's a leadoff hitter on half the teams in the league. He is a 5-6-hole hitter on every other team in the league. He would be hitting 4th for the Dodgers against a righty.
The thing about Harris too in the night, it's not like Snicker forces it either. The 5, 6, 7, 8 spots make a lot of sense too.
Yeah,
or Arcia in the 8-hole makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Could he hit 9th and could you hit Harris 7th? Sure, but I think for the offense, it's more beneficial for the top of the order to have Harris at 9th than him at 7th. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's such a cheat code.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time.
But just go back to the MVP conversation, that works against Ronald because the offense isn't relying as much. Like, yeah, he's putting up historical numbers, but the offense is so deep otherwise that it's not a single point of failure for the Braves offense. Ronald Acuña Jr. could go over 4, and you have 8 other guys who are capable of having a 3-4 hit night or capable of putting up 6-7 total bases in the game. It's not out of the question. It's just so. I really want Acuna to win this MVP.
I think here's where I stand. I think if Acuna can go on this homer tear, which he started doing, if he can hit 40 homers and hit 70 steals, that will get him an MVP. A 40-40, I don't even care how hard like the new bases. He's well cleared 40. There have been 6 players with a 40-40
that's
in
just
MLB history.
40-70 just sounds impossible. It sounds like pure fantasy. Yeah. I think you're right though. I think if he can hit the 40-70 mark, he has that nice succinct record that the old heads, those dinosaurs that are still voting for the MVP, and be like, oh, can Mookie Betts do a 40-70 season? The Dodgers let him run more probably, but besides the point,
I think
it's
the Dodgers not letting him run. Freddie has more steals than Betts does. I think. Freddie's a great base runner though, so like.
Yeah, Freddie's like what 18 for 19, and yeah, he's. God damn it.
For a split, this was my final thought about for the episode. But for a split second on that grand slam on Thursday, when they zoomed in on Freddie's face, it was the first time where I felt like I was looking at an opponent that I could like laugh at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was the first time where I was like not dreading seeing Freddie in a Dodger uniform, and it felt really good.
Yeah. It's I'm still getting used to it. Like today I was watching the game and he has like a jersey night or something coming up. And I was like, oh, wait, why are the Dodgers having a Freddie Freeman jersey night? And then it hit me. Oh, because he's on the Dodgers. He plays first base for them.
We can fill up the swear jar tonight, but I don't think I'll ever get used to it. Like, it's not equivalent of seeing an ex with a new person. It's like seeing your parent become someone totally different or something.
It's like seeing your ex with your mortal enemy. It's one thing if he signed with the Red Sox or just the Yankees even, but the Dodgers, who are a team that we've had a rivalry with. I mean, we're in the middle of a rivalry. I would argue this might be one of the greatest sports rivalries we've ever seen against the Dodgers. Like it's like seeing your ex with just like the person that used to bully you in high school. So that's happened to us.
Maybe not even exes. It's like your best friend. Freddie's been a Brave since I was 13.
Yeah.
Like I cannot imagine him.
I remember when he had that stupid paint chip eating face before he got dental work done.
Chelsea Freeman has done more for his appearance than I remember when he signed with the Dodgers and people were blaming Chelsea for signing with the Dodgers, which was bizarre. But I'm like, Braves fans should be grateful for Chelsea because she really changed up his whole image.
Oh yeah. He
looks great now.
Yeah, he's a very good looking guy.
I know it's not likely with Olsen's contract, but like after this stupid 6-year contract is done, I just need to see Freddie come back Pujols like not as out of shape as Pujols, but just I need him to end his career in a Braves jersey.
Uniform. Yeah.
I can't do this Dodger thing for 4 more years.
Yeah, I will say too, if this is the NLCS, so many storylines. Oh my gosh, we could probably think about this. We've been recording. I mean, we're about to fill up the last block. I mean, this is gonna be over an hour. This is just one series we've talked about this entire time. Can you imagine how much shit we have to talk about for a NLCS with the Dodgers? Like all the storylines.
I need a Game 7 walk-off home run at Truist Park where the camera zooms in on Freddie moping and mouthing, man, I really should have not listened to my agent.
Should have fired him 6 months prior. I was 6 months too late. But, I mean, like, we didn't even talk about Ozuna. I mean, Ozuna he didn't have a great game today, but he's been Barry Bonds pretty much since the start of August. Eddie Rosario didn't have a great series, But I mean, Ozzy Albies, he's coming back. They gave him the day off on Thursday, which I was very fine with. Let him rest. There's so much. I mean, there's just so much we didn't even get to.
Dylan Lee's back.
Dylan Lee's back. He looked good today. Freaking. I know Heller allowed the run, but I thought Heller looked decent. I thought Jimenez looked good besides the home run. I mean, honestly, I thought our relief court looked really good. I think the outputs were a little less forgiving than what they were. I mean, again, it's the Dodgers, you know. So just in terms of sort of if this is the team that we play in the NLCS, I think this is the best we've looked against them and best matchups we have against them. I mean, 2021, a lot of things broke our way to make it happen the way it did. This year, we can convincingly win a series. Like we don't need that stuff to happen.
I don't know if I can handle a 7-game series with the Dodgers, though.
I'm so ready for it.
Mentally,
I'm so ready for it.
This whole series, game 1 and 2, I was on edge the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know what it is. It's just facing the Dodgers. It's weird to be in a position where the Braves are actually better than the Dodgers. For years, we've been playing catch-up.
Yeah.
And when the Braves get to the playoffs, and if they have to face the Dodgers, I don't want our first year where we are better than the Dodgers to go down, losing to Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman. I need the Braves to beat Freddie Freeman in the playoffs.
I don't know if you've heard. We have 1 minute left, so we're going to have to wrap up here. But I don't know if you've heard, but they're going to sign Shohei Ohtani. It's going to happen. So this might be the best chance we have to beat them. Just putting that out there. Anyway, do you have any final
I just need Freddie Freeman
thoughts?
To lose
in a Dodgers uniform. Yeah. Oh my God.
In a Dodgers uniform. I cannot handle Freddie Freeman beating the Braves in the NLCS. I will lose my mind.
He needs to have a repeat of that error he made in that Game 5 of the NLDS that never happened.
Anyway, like, comment, subscribe to our channel if you